despite how bad we all feel, we just have to, be hopeful, because we see without hope, you can't even cope. And I believe that while the entire country believes that our judicial system is not going to work, that is what the powers that be want you to believe. They have laid the foundation and want us to believe that nothing good can come out of our justice system. But I'm a firm believer, and I believe most of us here know that this issue of Peter Obi and Dati is beyond the physical. You will agree with me that what God used us to do in 6 to 7 months has never, ever been done across the entire African continent. So what that means is that if in 6, 7 months we can pull the kind of strings that we pulled, definitely, we shouldn't just assume that we've been weakened by that INEC selected president. We, as far as we're actually concerned, we are positive. We know, I in particular, let me speak for myself. I know that something is going to happen. I don't know how, but based on evidence available, based on the fact that this issue of Peter Obi is beyond the Igbo nation, is beyond the Biafra nation. The issue of Peter Obi is hope of this country. Somebody like me from Borno South, somebody from Mangu, somebody from Langtang in Jos, somebody from Igala Nation in Kogi, somebody from Benue, Taraba, Adamawa. For once, we've had hope. So whenever you feel like giving up, just know that you are trying to hand over those people I just mentioned into the hands of these wicked people that have destroyed this country over and over. So one reason why we must not give up is that these people don't have any plans. They don't mean well for this country. And God will never allow them to continue in this evil that they've been doing over the years. So let's keep faith. Let's remember, by the special grace of God, our mandate will be returned back to us at the right time. And I believe that God that has started this whole thing for us will give us the grace, the wisdom, the patience to be able to endure this oppression, depression, suppression, intimidation, and so on and so forth. So let me just stop here. I didn't know whether people, were able to answer 1 or 2 questions, but let me just stop here. If I need to shed more light or need to be guided to speak on a particular topic, then I can flow there. But for now, this is my submission. Thank you very much. Once more, apologies for coming up late.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bellamy. That's a heartfelt message. I don't know, Mr. Emeka, is Deran here? Otherwise, we take questions.
I didn't see him when I checked through the list earlier. Deran, are you here? Deran, are you here? Okay, I don't think he's here yet. Let's go ahead. Please allow the people raising their hands in order of to please to ask questions, so our guests can and we can take can answer those questions.
Okay. Mr. Chukwudemo, can you handle this aspect of the program, please?
Okay. So we are now into the question time. So this time around, like we said, we just wanted to keep the questions within a minute. And we have we have a lot of people, the guests. So if you're directing your question to a particular guest, it's good to, just ask the question and then ask them specifically. Introduce yourself. And I think it's good for us to avoid that so many controversies out there. So just to keep our time short, we just keep away from extreme controversies, ask your questions, and then direct your questions directly to who you want the question to be answered. So I'll call on, according to the way the hands are raised, I'll call on Prince Harry to introduce yourself and then ask your question. Prince Harry, are you there with us? If you're there, we'll maybe take 3 questions and then we'll answer and then we'll go together. Harry, if you're there, introduce yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening. Prince Harry calling from, in this group in Abuja. And it's not really a question, but it's still a question anyway. It's based on this 25% of Abuja being declared as a president. I understand that in exam, like let me say JAMB, or let me say a NECO or GC or WAEC. If you are to write an exam, you have maybe like a 9 subjects, including maths and English. You might choose any course, of course, to read. You might choose any course to read, and you might have your courses like biology, chemistry, and the rest. If according to the NECO or WAEC standard, if you do not get maths and English, you cannot be admitted in any university or polytechnic. The A&D and there is what I am really into. They said if you get all the other subjects and maths and English, you can be admitted. But if you don't get one of those 2, or if you don't get the 2, you cannot be admitted. It also applies to the election of the 25% of Abuja. You can get all the other states. If you do not get FCT, as implies, and you cannot be declared as the winner. I know we have SANS and some other barristers here. I really want to say what are the judges doing on this and 25 of FCT, because it's already stated, it's already in the Constitution of Nigeria. Because if the judges tour with this and 25% of FCT, it will not be augur well with them, because it's already stated in the Constitution that you must get 25% in FCT. So that is what I am really on for now. Thank you. I can mute the mic.
Okay, thank you so much, Prince. I think your question is better around the judiciary interpretation of the 25% capture of FCT. So we can ask other questions. So Prince, if you go ahead and ask your question. Yeah, Prince, go ahead and ask your question. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can you guys hear me? Is it my own, Prince?
Yes, your own, Prince.
Okay, so mine is, I just wanted to make a little contribution. I posted something on the group chat in an effort. I had Valentine earlier on talking about putting pressure, both court of public opinion and as well while we await the court. I suggested something, whether it's what we can leverage on. Since before the election, all past Chatham House to go and put in their strategies, manifesto, and what they would, including the umpire, the supposed umpire. Is it not ideal? Is it not something we can look into? Having a way, because these people are very, very good at very negative propaganda, and we don't have to let them beat us at that. Can we arrange, in addition to what we are doing at Washington, going back to Chatham House? I'm not saying we're going to display all the evidence we have. Some of these things that have transpired in the election, the little we can, go again and reach that satellite to the global world. I can as well copy some of the statements that the umpire made about online transmission of results. Put everything he said, then relevant portions of Nigerian Constitution, including the one the last speaker spoke about, 25%. Highlight all these things. Let them be there. Let's make that presentation that the whole world will capture the same way we did before election, post-election. Then we have global best lawyers, people who are very sound lawyers globally that can interpret the Constitution. But the merit in the literal meaning of our Constitution, it doesn't have to be Nigerian Constitution square. Push that thing out there, let everybody see. The judges that will judge this case we still be there. So let that pressure, that beam line, let the world see. In the same way, they are going using all their lobby to lobby the international community to undermine the movement, giving the negative information about what transpired. Can we tell our own story on our own by beaming the light? Look at what happened. Look at people that were killed. Look at people that were intimidated. Look at mutilated, few mutilated results. Then look at what the Nigerian Constitution said about this also. Look at what happened. So is it possible that we still go back to that and maybe deliver that as well as an additional way of putting pressure both on those who stole the mandate, the judges, and the global public opinion? So that's the suggestion I'm putting forward out there. And you can't have a data flow to make that.
That's fine.
That's okay. Yeah, Prince, thank you so much. I think you've made your point. Your point in summary is just extension of our pressure using Chatham House, like other protests that we've had protests that have happened in London. We have other ones going in Washington. So in addition to that, suggesting that we can go back to Chatham House so that we put it down. So we can go ahead and call on Comrade David Onome Solomon. If you're able to unmute yourself and ask your question, make it very simple and succinct. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello?
Yeah, good evening. We can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, David, we can hear you. David, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, I'm Comrade David. I'm calling from Warri Delta State. I want to just ask a question because there's this information going around that our principal LPs got 25% in 25 states, and BAT and APC got 30%. I mean 25% in 13 states, while the PDP got 25% in 8 states. I don't know how true is that information. So I'm trying to get if it's really true, information is true.
Can you be a little bit clear? You're talking about information from where? Because we wouldn't be delving into rumors.
I'm not I want to water to get because me myself, I started from Lagos State, but I've not been able to finish Lagos State. I've not collected all the results for the INEC portal from Lagos State. So I want to know if we're able to collect all the results of the INEC portal.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if I understand your question is about the collected result from INEC IREF portal. That so we're going to address that as a point. Yes. So IREF portal. So we'll attempt one more, and then we can, so that it doesn't get too long. So we have several Ebe, and then Somadina. After that, we can allow the guests to respond, and then we can go down the list. So Savio Epe, if you go ahead and unmute yourself, and then you can talk.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning and good evening, House. This is Savio Epe. I'm actually talking from Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. I'm a member of a POSA in the state here. I want to thank everybody, especially the organizers of this platform, and all the guests that are here with us. There are two issues I want to raise. One will be in a question form. Let me start in a question form. I want to find out from Mr. Kunkwo, though we appreciate what he's doing for us at the national space there, he has mentioned a very critical issue on how to stand by the current court case, and also how to mobilize ourselves to ensure that the matter is still effective. But I want him to actually put us in the light in practical terms. What is he thinking? What we should do? You should be able to tell us what we should do in order to, in terms of mobilization of our people? And is it to mobilize the people to attend the court cases, or the tribunal sitting or something? What are the practical things we should do? So that's the question. Then number 2 issue is the instruction that was given. I think everybody should be able to rise up. There's instruction in the sense that we, the Obidient, should get registered in the Labour Party. Actually, I've never done that before. I'm a journalist by profession. I've not registered. Already by my profession, we don't do that. But because of this movement and for the sake of what we are doing at time, I had to go and register in my unit. So I'm a member, a card-carrying member of the Labour Party. So I also want to call others to equally do same. And then apart from that, I discovered that there are a lot of betrayals in the party. I may not know of other states. In my state, when we had our state meeting, I spoke about it very badly. Because we cannot imagine.
Sorry, I need to stop you. Sorry,
let's limit the number of questions.
Excuse me. Yes.
Okay. I want you to keep it short. You've asked the first question. You asked about Labour Party registration. Do you mind if we just take that point so that we have about 21 people wanting to talk? So we need to regulate this. So do you mind? We can come back again later. If you don't mind, I'll go to the next speaker, who is Somadina. And after Somadina, I'll allow, because Dr. Val, His Excellency, is about to might have a short time, so he can address this and then we can continue. So Somadina, if you're able to go ahead with your question, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Chukwudi, for that. So just real quick, this is more or less a chiming in, and this is based off what some attendees posted in the chat about the propaganda going on that the Ohaneze has endorsed Tinubu and is calling for the swearing in to proceed. That is false news. That is a propaganda. At no time has the Ohaneze ever endorsed the outcome of the current election. I have posted on the chat the position of the Ohaneze with respect to the 2023 election. And I've also made it clear, I also want to make it clear to people to know that there is a group that the APC is sponsoring at the moment, and that group posters itself as an Ohaneze group, and that group goes around making statements that can create a perception of the Ohaneze supporting a particular candidate, supporting Tinubu, the APC, or supporting the governor of Ebonyi State, Umahi, for Senate president. Such publication have the likelihood of throwing off people who are not familiar with the Ohaneze area of the country to think that the Ohaneze is in on Tinubu and that Obi is not enjoying support from the leaders of his region. That is totally not true. Obi enjoys the support of the average people across the country, and likewise in his region. He also enjoys the support of the leaders in his region that the people listen to. So let us take note. I would post a link in the chat showing where Ohaneze disowned that group that's been sponsored by the APC. And I would also mention that there are names that are very, very conversant in that group. One of such names is, you would see the names of like Mazi Isiguzoro. It's a very common name that you would see in a lot of those poster false pseudo Ohaneze organization. And you would also see Mazi Oku as well. So let's pay attention to those, especially for those supporters of Peter Obi who are not of Igbo extraction, so they don't fall for that APC propaganda. We're also aware that the APC is also sponsoring other sociocultural groups in the Niger Delta and in the Middle Belt, as well as in the north and in the western part of the country, to also create that perception of acceptance for the APC candidate that was wrongly declared the winner of the election. So let us know that the battle that we're fighting, while we're fighting the battle on court, we're also fighting the the battle of media propaganda. And I'm passing this message across so that we are alert on the media propaganda and we are able to communicate as well to our folks, because they look up to us for political information, that these groups, these news or this sort of information that allude to winning support for Peter Obi in his region, it is false news. The people of Nigeria stand firmly with Peter Obi, and the people and members of Ohaneze and Igbo are also strongly behind Peter Obi. I'll use the mic right now.
Okay, thank you so much, Samadina. I'm just going to summarize these 5 questions so that we can. I know that Val wanted to leave, so that we can actually attend to that. And the last speaker, which is Samadina, really made a very good point, which is media campaign. I know that the war has gone from foot soldier in terms of voting to media campaign. It might be good for Honorable Val to highlight the efforts that the Labour Party is making to really counter very strong measures to counter this media, especially people in diaspora. We don't have that private to the national newspapers or the news locally. What we see are those buzzers, and sometimes APC have actually tried to deceive people with all this fake information. So we might need to know what Labour Party, what we're doing to really have a strong counter opposition to all this false information. So that is the last one. The first one was talking about 21% in Abuja, the judicial interpretation. Bryce was talking about extending our protest or extending our arguments towards Chatham House in addition to what is happening right now. And then David Ohome was talking about the information, the data that is being gathered on IREV, what we are using with it and what the summary is. And then finally, Favor was asking about what is the next? What are we advised to do? Because there seems to be a lot of confusion. Are we going to stay put? Are we going to do something? What is the Labour Party? What is the stand of the leadership of Labour Party? And also encouraging people to register. So I will call on Honorable Val to give his perspective. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you everyone for your various comments and intervention. Also, my special thanks to Barrister Kenneth Okonkwo and Balami Isaac for their intervention. I believe Kenneth would even do justice to some of those legal questions. I'll just provide some insights. Very brief one. And let me also encourage everybody, please, once you make your point, there's no need to drag it for long. The very first 2 comments, from their first line of intervention, we could actually know where they were headed. And all that followed may not be necessary given the number of people who are raising their hands. So let's get punchy and get brief and still achieve the same objective. Yeah, Prince Harry made a valid point about 25%. It's already been adjudicated by the Supreme Court. If they're going to come back and reinvent the wheel and counter themselves, we're waiting. As far as I'm concerned, the judiciary has one duty, either to declare Nigeria officially lawless, or we know there is law in this country. So we're waiting. Well, I won't say more than that. So you're right. They're meant to, have 25% for you to be declared president-elect, and this was contravened. And of course, we've also seen this suggestion before on social media about going back to Chatham House. It's not just Chatham House. There are a lot of places that our story must be told. The experience of Nigeria must be, rehashed again. And which is why we like what is going on already in some parts of our diaspora, from the US to Italy. A number of people who actually had planned different activities. I think now that the judiciary is about to go into full action, this is when we want to see a lot of those activities. So whether we're going to go specific to Chatham House, I don't know yet. I haven't discussed this with our leadership, but it's a point that we will take home. All the other comments about the results, the outcome of the election I will leave Kenneth to respond to it. What Somadina said about Haneze is very valid. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is our Haneze meeting. I will be there, and I can tell you a categorical statement will be made tomorrow. Every single one of the nationalities have more or less rejected the outcome of this. In fact, if Fenifer could reject it, how much more Haneze? So let's not waste time on that. And on media intervention, we can see already there's a lot of steps, actions, and reactions on any issue that comes up. But if you allow me, I will tell you there's still some gaps. We're not doing enough yet. And this again has been highlighted. And hopefully as the proceedings in courts continue, we will get better in this regard. A lot of people have suggested we recruit a proper PR professional at this stage of the court process. And again, this has been discussed internally, and I don't have all the feedback, but in our own space, we are organizing ourselves. We have a community of influencers that we're using to intervene where necessary, and we want to encourage giving weight. We're all media practitioners in the world of social media. Everybody has a voice. We're all influencers. Let's not wait. Once you see propaganda, kill it and fight it, deal with it. And when you see a positive news, you need to magnify, highlight, enhance, go ahead and do so. And we will move from there. The beauty of what we've been doing has been the fact that it's been organic. It's not about paying people to get things done. We've been doing it ourselves, and we can't leave that beauty. And even though we need to complement that with other professional activities, but I think that we're doing marvelous already, and let's keep the being organic going. So on this note, can I take it from here? And thank you guys for having me for this brief moment. Thank you.
All right. I think he has handed over to Barrister Kenneth Okonkwo at this point. Can you come in, sir?
Well, just to make you to have confidence in what we have in court, I'm going to tell you the basic grounds for which we are doing our petition. One, we are saying that Tinubu is not qualified, as at the time that he wanted to be president. One, he was convicted of drug trafficking in the United States by the District Court of Northern Illinois with a certified true copy of the judgment. And I'm happy to say that APC they practically admitted that it was true. So they're just trying to rigmarole around it. And it's against Section 137(1)(d) of the Constitution. The second ground is that his deputy had double nomination. As at the time that they were going into the election, the deputy was this senator, was nominated as the candidate for the Borno Central Senatorial District, and at the same time nominated to be the vice presidential candidate. And by Section 35 of the Electoral Act, the nomination is void. It is there clearly stated. And once the nomination is void, it voids the whole nomination. Then the third thing is about the FCT, the 25%. It is clearly stated in Section 134(2)(b) of the Constitution. You have to have 25% in 2/3 of the states of the Federation and the FCT. And the Supreme Court has interpreted it that way. Tinubu did not meet up with all these things. So by law, his candidacy ought to be nullified completely. And then PDP, brilliantly, in their reply, brought in the issue of his dual citizenship And again, brought in the issue of certificates, brought in a lot of the issues which did not come to fore when they were bringing the petition. Because by law, you cannot amend your petition once you have filed it. But when the respondents reply to your petition, you can, through their reply, then file in more things cleverly and smartly. So basically, everybody knew that the election was marred by corrupt practices and non-compliance with the electoral law. We all know that in the electoral law, you were supposed to transmit results from the polling unit to the server, and you're supposed to upload the EC8A, that is the result sheet. You scan it and upload it to the IREF portal to the viewing pleasure of all Nigerians from the polling unit. INEC made these promises. Everybody knew they did not comply with it. That automatically makes the election void because it's a mandatory provision. If you go to clause 38, clause 48 of the INEC guidelines, the guidelines they give to themselves, it is there that the beavers cannot be bypassed. In the collation, in the declaration of winner, in the confirming the correctness and the consistency of the manual results with the electronically transmitted results. You cannot bypass this. INEC bypassed all. They even confessed that there were glitches. They could not even give us the results, even when we got to court to bring a court order. So there was corrupt practice, obviously, and a lot of corrupt practices. And they did not follow the Electoral Act. By Section 134 of the Electoral Act, these things makes the election void. And again, they did not win by majority votes. We also in Lagos, in Benue, in Taraba, in Akwa Ibom, in Delta, in Bayelsa, in Rivers. Rivers' own was so open. Plateau own was so open. In Lagos, we won by almost 1 million. So what they were doing in order to evade the accredited number of voters in the Beaver is to swap our votes to change it to APC. Meaning, if we're able to recover those votes, as our own is going up, the APC's own is going down. So we mustn't need to get the 1-point-something million votes to be over the APC. If we can get half of the votes and prove that they swapped our votes, we are already on top of them. So they did not win by lawful majority votes. And I can tell you, checking the beavers, more than 18,000 polling units are scrambled, obscure, a lot mutilated, because they just could not live up to the fact that what they announced was fake results, purely fake. That was why they did not release those results, because they needed to manipulate the beavers to suit the fake result they announced. So all these things we are able to put up in our petition, and that is the reason why they are rattled. That is why they are bringing all this attack on our principle. They have done everything to poach even some of us. They have done everything to know whether they can placate us. We kept telling them that this is not about us. This is about Nigeria. This is about obedience. They don't understand the difference between a political party and a movement. This is a movement. And they don't want to hear anything except a new Nigeria. And P2B is simply a symbol. And I can tell you that this movement is going to continue until we have the new Nigeria. So we are doing our best. I have the privilege of being a member of the legal team, the presidential legal team. So I know that these people are spending sleepless nights, very brilliant people. Immediately that petition came out, they were rattled. They have not been settled today. If the courts will give us justice, not judgment, I can tell you that it is just a matter of little time, and we'll be back to where we ought to be. by the power of the people and by your support. So that is why you must keep up the pressure, because eternal vigilance is the price you pay for liberty. Once once they see that you have acquiesced, then they will steal what ordinarily they wouldn't have to steal. It is all those rallies that we were doing in those places that started creating awareness that we are not just 4 people tweeting from a room. So we must continue that pressure, peacefully assembling and using all our social media network to continue hammering it to the world that we won this election, that if the judiciary can give justice, they will declare us winners. This is the central point of whatever meeting we are meeting, whether in Chatham House, which is commendable, or in Nigeria or in any other place, that we won this election and that the justices must deliver justice, not just judgment. So that is why the pressure must go on. Whatever is your social media handle, keep bringing it to the fore, and we will get there by the grace of God.
Hello, let me just chip in 1 or 2 things which might help us save our time. One observation I made while going through the court documents of Tinubu's drug case in the US is that it was clearly stated there in those court documents that all the money which was confiscated from Tinubu in that process were paid into those accounts by Tinubu himself, not by a third party. The drug money was paid in by Tinubu himself. So you cannot deny the source of those payments. That's one. Number 2, let me just summarize the Ohanaeze matter. It is very true. There's a fake Ohanaeze sponsored by opponents going around claiming that they are genuine. Wherever you see the name Okechukwu Isiguzoro, that is the fake man. He had been dismissed from Ohanaeze about 2 years ago. He separated himself as the spokesman of Ohanaeze. He's fake, he's an imposter. The correct publicity secretary for Ohanaeze is Dr. Alex Ogbonnaya. So wherever you see Okechukwu Isiguzoro, it's fake. Where you see Dr. Alex Ogbonnaya, it is true or real. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead, please.
All right, Chukwudi, are you there? Or do we have
Yeah, I'm here.
from Balami on what has been said so far? Otherwise, we go on with questions.
Okay. So I think there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Uncle Val made it clear that there's no need to repeat oneself, and it's been a long one. However, something just came into my mind before Mazi Ozweki will say something here. You see, again, I just want to tell us something. What the ruling party or the powers that be is doing is simple. They're trying to make sure that they put so much fear in us so that even when there's need for us to actually legally, let me say, respond to issues that concern us, you know, in terms of our constitutional rights, we wouldn't even have that mind or that courage to actually go ahead. You see, I think when I look at the number of participants on this platform, I feel it's important I actually say it here. While our principal is actually trying to follow the law and do the right thing, which we all appreciate and respect him for that, he's our leader. One thing I want to tell us here is that when there's need for us to legally, I mean, by law, mobilize, I want us to just be ready. Please let us be ready so that when the needs arise in the next couple of days or weeks, for us to come together and make a statement. Please, guys, we must be bold and courageous. Power is not being served, is it they call it in a la carte or they call it? A la carte. But we need to be ready mentally for the work ahead. I see what you or nobody will call you and say, come and take. but we will do it right. We'll do it properly. That is one. Two, there's so much distraction going on with our party. And I just want to make this clear. At least I've been privileged not just to be in the senior management team of the campaign council, but I'm also a senior special advisor to the chairman of our great party. And guys, while sometimes we meet and we talk and we complain, we need to also reflect and appreciate God for the miles we have been able to cover. What we did, like I said earlier on, is not what any party with 100 billion naira or 200 billion naira can do at ease. It means that there's a special grace and speed that God has actually given unto us. So this party distraction, we just need to remain together, talk less, and offer our advice as much as we can. I can assure you that the attack on our party chairman and the ESCO is so much, you can see it. So we must not also allow that to actually derail us or to discourage us. I've met people telling me, you see, for me, I'm just an obedient. Yes, most of us here are just obedient. Not very, very few of us, like myself, are now party members of LP. But you see, the LP is the structure. And no matter how we complain about some inconsistency or some irregularities or lack of capacity in so many areas, it's not easy to build what we've been able to, build without the required resources. So let us also put it at the back of our mind that while we move as Obidient family, we shouldn't also forget that the party is important. So let's pray for the party. Let's offer advice whenever we can and ensure that we just be on active mood, on standby for the work ahead. For me, if it means I won't go back to my business again for this work, because like Mazi always say, it is not about or LUP, it's about the soul of this country. So let me just stop here and so that Mazi can also make one or two interventions.
Thank you very much, Balami. We are using one camera and one phone for this meeting. Before now, Balami was not able to join on a video because we've had a couple of engagements. Now, Balami is, as we speak, in Enugu. And this is the core of what the Obidient stands for. The reason why we are fighting and we fought and we must continue fighting for that which our principle calls the new Nigeria. Reason is very simple. Here is a man from Borno, a man who 8 years ago in Ibagwa, Nike was conferred a chieftaincy title, reason why he's allowed to wear the red cap like myself. Obviously, now this is going beyond just being in one region, because it's easy for many of us to stay in one place and say the people from the north. But here, a man from the other side, building bridge, going across the other side, and we are in everything that is happening, reflecting what has happened, looking at what does the future hold for us. The future holds for us, we are gone to court, as been noted before by my good brother and friend, Kenneth Okonkwo, the irregularities that has happened. However, there is one key thing that we must all keep remembering. There must be a nation. And in this nation, we are instruments to cement and to galvanize us to get to where we want to be. Because no matter what happens, the moment the nation is there, galvanized, we will begin to still look at what has happened. What has happened is very simple. The election was won by the Obedience, but irregularities happened. And as been explained by the legal minds, the battle will start in a couple of days' time, I believe on the 10th, 12th, and 13th. And what Balami has also insinuated here is for us to use our tongue to count our teeth. That means the moment these Lego fireworks start, that the stamina to stand by our principle, the stamina, the strength to stand by him even in the court, to say this is the mandate that we fought for. This is the mandate that the Obidient globally fought for with their strength, with their resources, and this mandate cannot be taken from them. As he said, that power is not given a la carte. No one expects that this is going to be easy. No, it's not going to be easy. But my advice and my plea to all of us is that we please stay focused. We are going to stay focused, and we must stay focused to ensure that at the end of the day, victory shall be ours. And that new Nigeria that we all dream of shall be what we will build. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much, our special guest, for really, really highlighting most of this very major point that's been highlighted. And for others that are going to ask questions, it's good for us to have the summary of what has been said so far, so that we don't go around it. If you're going to ask a new question, we've already addressed the 25% of the judicial interpretation of 25%. We have also talked about a little bit about the IREF portal. We've talked about the next step, which is our preparedness to really get into the battle. This is a long drawn battle. So we are going to be prepared, to in a very peaceful way to get the world know, and then keep our enthusiasm up with, our protest. And then also the propaganda about the Ohanese post. So if your questions are in line of what has been answered, please, I would encourage us not to ask it again. So I will go again according to the priority. So we have Chidera Ndubisi. So if you unmute yourself, we're going to take another 5 questions and then we can summarize them. Chidera Ndubisi, if you unmute yourself and then ask your question. Thank you. Chidera, are you there? If you unmute yourself and then ask your question. If not, I will go ahead and call on Pius Ebong. So Pius Ebong, please unmute your phone and then ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow obedient citizens. My name is Pius Ebong. I am the Director of Administration of the Campaign Council in Akwa Ibom State. I am very happy to be here at this forum, and I want to contribute my own quota by way of advice. I know that our principal will claim his mandate. It's actually our mandate. I'm very positive about that. But how that will happen, nobody can tell. But I have a feeling that the way things are, we have to increase the moral burden on the judges of the appeal court, that is the tribunal court. We really have to. I know there are some, we started to come out for rally on daily basis, but along the line, I think it is our principal that said, no, we should not do that, and that has been discontinued. But in my place here, in my state, a lot of people are agitating and asking whether we should or whether we shouldn't continue with mounting that pressure in a very peaceful way. So that's just one of the questions I have. And then the second one is, how prepared are we in case we may end up with a rerun of this election? Because the way things are, the court may decide to cancel the whole election and then we go for a rerun. Now, how prepared are we? Most of the obedience are disenfranchised. A lot of people are saying, oh, why should we have? A lot of people have gone their own way. I know in the BCC, even some very good members, very serious members of BCC in my state have gone their own way because they just don't see any reason to continue again. So I suggest that we should be doing things to mobilize and remobilize the people in preparation for a possible rerun in the nearest future. And then lastly, I want to add that when the court fireworks begin, each and every obedient member who is on on any of the social media. We should be posting, so in fact, we should be preparing our own posters with shouting headline, and all that is just to increase the moral burden on the judges, telling them that the fate of Nigeria depends on them. I mean, whether Nigeria is to exist or not to exist, I mean, we increase the moral burden on them. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pius, for your suggestion. So I will summarize it alongside with other people. And for other people that are going to ask questions, please limit your questions to only one question, so we can go through every person. So I'll call on John Obas, to kindly ask the question. John Obas, are you there? If you unmute yourself, and then you can ask your question.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Professor Obal John Eberhon. I'm a member of the PPGN Directorate. There's a series of observations that I'd like to make, and these are very serious ones. One, everyone that represents us, either in the print media or social media, should stop using that word presidential candidate elect. We should try and replace it with presidential candidate imposed. Whether in the media, if any media person say the presidential candidate elect has arrived in the country, any obedient available should say, point of correction, is presidential candidate imposed. That's very, very important. The second issue is, I appeal to everyone listening to me here. The rescue platforms that we have is not an Igbo platform. Obidient is not an Igbo organization. Whatever we post there, whatever we say there, we have to be very, very mindful. I've taken it upon myself to start deleting some rubbish of those rescue things that we put up there. It is to galvanize people, to prepare us for the eventuality. We must stop putting anything there. Anyone that wants to post anything about Igbo or whatever, they should please find other platform which they can express themselves. This is very important. And that leads me to the other point that was made earlier on about the Ohanaeze. Obidient is not an Ohanaeze organization. For God's sake, if anything happens to Obi tomorrow, we will find another Nigerian from any part of the world to step in. This is beyond Igbo issue. This is beyond Obi. This is about the future of Nigeria. If this stupid, excuse my language, is allowed, mandate is allowed to be taken away from us, I tell you, Nigeria will pay dearly for it for generations to come. Any of us that are mindful about the future of our children, great-grandchildren, we should do everything within our powers to fight and make sure that this does not hold. Now, this is very important, although people have talked about it, but it's not something we should gloss over. I'm really disappointed by what I'm saying happening. The principal did not say we should not be mobilizing ourselves. We should not be preparing ourselves. He didn't say any of those. He simply says that we should not do anything that will violently derail whatever, plans they have taking place in the courts. I will call on every obedient movement and organization, everywhere, anywhere around the world, to now be having meetings every week, even much more tougher than we were, going to the election. If you just call anybody and everyone seems to be sleeping, this is a very, very serious issue. We must engage the international community. We must seize every opportunity available to us to let them be aware of the consequences of allowing this mandate to stand in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Obas, for making those important contributions. I will go ahead and we'll take 3 more, and then we can summarize on that. We have Samuel Akubuenyi, we have Tezia Samson, and we have Maidi Kuromeyema. Sorry for me butchering that. So if you go very quickly, 1 minute, 1 point, and then we'll go to the next session, the next speaker. Samuel Akubenyi.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Samuel Akubenyi. I'm calling from Dublin. So it is very sad that our country is in comatose and we are doing everything possible to resuscitate it. So my question is simple. Will the court be able to resolve the matter before May 29th? If it's not possible, is it possible for the court to place in a kind of interim government? So this is just my question. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for making it very short and succinct. Tise Samson Anande.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a question, and what are we doing about the statement that or the information accredited by Channels TV to Peter Obi, which was that Peter Obi was asking for the release of Nnamdi Kanu when it was Michael Zekume that did that. Already, that statement was online. It has been circulating all around. They have given and deleted it on tweet, but I think we need to hold them accountable that they should use their platform to apologize on all their programs on the television. And the other thing is that what are we doing so that we need to bring more people from the north, from the far north, to be also very active on the issues, both on the net and on programs like this, so that we can balance the conversation, so that it will not always, because sometimes the truth is that it seems that it's one-sided thing. So what are we doing to actually bring some people, at least identify some core obedience in the north and bring them on board so that they can also be active on the internet and balancing the equation of our spread all over. Thank you.
Thank you, Anande, for that. I'll take one more and then I'll allow the guests to.
Miabiye, yes.
Miabiye, okay.
All right. My name is Miabiye. I originate from Port Harcourt, and I'm speaking from the city of Houston in Texas in the United States of America. One, from an advice or sort of an input into those who are framing strategy. We need to look at a worst case scenario. And when I mean worst case scenario, this man will assume, if there is no act of God, this man will assume state powers. State powers implies that he will elect, he will be commander-in-chief. He will be CNC of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He will put in place, perhaps his first decision will be to put in place all the new service chiefs and everything to be able to take charge of the security architecture of the state and go ahead to do that down the route. That will be his first desire. Given that scenario, we will come under not only security pressure, but we will come under all sorts of cohesive and manipulative strategies. We know who this man is, and we are not giving attention to preparing for that type of scenario. He will come with money, he will come with intimidations, they will come with all sorts of threats and everything using the security. They will visit people in their houses. And so if we do not begin as a point of strategy to make that input into the way we engage and prepare for that, we are not yet ready for that challenge. That's one point for the point of strategy, and I want to know what we are thinking of, with respect to that. I think somebody has raised the issue of communications. We have a very poor communication. We need to have a clear line, and I'm glad that we've raised the point that we must have PRO experts deal with that issue. For instance, look at what the professor have just said. That is something that I've mentioned so much. You must have a counter narrative to anything that gives them a positive outlook. So it must be an imposed president and not a president-elect from our point of view. And this is just one of those narratives that we are not managing properly in the way we engage our communication. So for me, there should be clearly a document that says that gives us clarity as to what we do, including, and perhaps this is what I will direct to Kenneth, and I hope that he will respond. Kenneth, I want to thank you. Your communication styles are very good. Your tempo, your pacing, your use of language and phrases are very powerful, and so on. And they are internationally responsive. It means that you speak to an international audience beyond that when you come to that. But I'm very concerned about the fact that we have not actually put beyond claims, beyond law, and beyond facts. We have not begun to put evidence that backs these facts in a very clear way, and that should come out very clearly in our communication strategy. For instance, do we really know that? Can we get the assurance that we have the numbers when we go down to the court? Because every other thing is subject to interpretation. The court can tell you 25% will go different way. They can tell you the issue of his qualifications in law and so on could go the other way. One thing they cannot void is mathematics, arithmetics. Do we have the numbers? Have we computed the numbers and say that we can get the nearly 2,000 votes, 2 million votes that he used to go above us out of him and move it into our own side? Do we have that level of evidence? Can we begin to project that evidence in some very structured way in the global community? And finally, the point is that we must send Dati out. I'm sorry, we must send Dati out to do what our principal did before the elections. Dati should be everywhere in the US, in Canada, because Nigerians will be weak. When this man comes ruthlessly, they will trace Nigerians, and some of them don't have the tenacity of having gone through this type of battles. So Dati should be out in the global community, organizing meetings across the world the way the principal did to awaken the Nigerian consciousness and the global consciousness. Thank you. I mean, in the course of time, I'll probably be able to put in more things as to how strategy works. God bless all of us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mayabie. I think it's pertinent. We have 5 main questions. So the summary of the 5 questions were more with racial diversity in the Labour Party, fighting that term elected president. Rather, we make it strong that this is an imposed president, and also very importantly, need for mobilization. If we say we are ready today, are we ready to, in the course of the event that the election is annulled and they want a re-election? Do we think that the Obedience, we have enough fire that will be able to galvanize Obedience to even repeat what happened in the 25th of February? And also the final one was, somebody was asking about the duration of the court's case, and also more importantly, what do you call it? That given Tinubu, like if it's being sworn in, is there anything that can be done to avoid that from happening? Because obviously once he gets immunity, it becomes even more difficult. So I think most of these questions will be directed more to Honorable here, Kenneth Okonkwo, to address those things. Thank you. Kenneth Okonkwo, if you're able to give some of the response here, thanks.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right. Now, being very honest, it is only God Almighty, and that's why we need prayers. It's only God Almighty that can stop him from being inaugurated. If we were in an advanced country where things are going to be done normally, I can tell you it is very easy, because the constitutional issues do not need any evidence to be produced. Just in answer to that man that is saying, do we have enough evidence? Those three constitutional issues we presented about qualification and disqualification, they don't need further evidence. The issue of 25% in the Federal Capital Territory does not need any other evidence. They did not make 25%. So if we were in an advanced country, the judges can just take that as a constitutional issue. What is the interpretation of it? And immediately the interpretation is that he did not score 25%. Automatically, he cannot be sworn in. It means that he was declared in error. However, the 25% is not enough to disqualify him. It's enough to declare his declaration illegal. In other words, he can be qualified to go for runoff. But the issue of double nomination, he doesn't need evidence. The written nomination papers are there. So the court simply needs to interpret it. And once the interpretation is that there was double nomination, that one is that he's disqualified. All his votes will become wasted votes. It will not take time. That was what the former president of MBSA and some other people, Agbakoba, say these constitutional issues can be settled in 1 day, 2 days, higher 7 days. Then the issue of the drug issue. The CTC is there, certified through copy from the courts that gave the judgment against him. So he doesn't need any other argument. They have not said it is not true. They are just, trying to beat about the bush. It was not by a Nigerian court. It is 10 years, more than 10 years, this and that. No, we are not talking about section 137(1)(e). We're talking about section 137(1)(d). He said a court, when the person has been fined by a court or found guilty in any issue that has to do with dishonesty or all those crimes. So these three constitutional issues can be determined immediately. And then that's the only way he can be stopped from being sworn in. But if we need to go, when judges want to be clever, they will say they want to take everything together. And at the end of the issue, they will deliver judgment once. Then in that case, because they have 180 days, in that case, it's only God that will help us, and there is still God. That's why we have to pray fervently. I'm not losing hope because our principal has this overwhelming grace when it comes to the issue of judiciary. Remember when he was in Anambra State, he changed Nigerian political trajectory 3 times. 1, he recovered his mandate from the courts. 2, they said his tenure finished when he had just spent 1 year. He went to court and got his 4 years. And that was how staggered election came into being. More than about 10 states now are into staggered election history, which he made, or about 8 states. Now, the third one was when he was impeached illegally. He went to court. He won all these issues. And all of them now are locus classicus in the dictionary of our jurisprudence. So, because of that, his overwhelming grace, I am believing God. I'm praying that something will make this man not to be sworn in legally. And it is possible. And I'm praying that whatever comes out, whether he's sworn in or not, our mandate should be recovered. Now, I am not going to go into the explicit because we say this is not a strategy session because I don't know who is hearing. But I know that we are optimistic. For instance, even if there's going to be a runoff, we have evidence, even from the IREV, Rivers State, we won Rivers State, and some other states. So we have majority states than any other candidate, meaning we will be qualified for the runoff, even if there will be runoff. So I don't want to go into detail, but I know that we have a lot of evidence. Remember, INEC is frustrating us very, very hard to make sure that the authentic results they do not give to us. So I am not going to discuss how we are going to overcome all those, but we need prayers. Then we need, like I say, the pressure to continue to pressurize everybody that is involved that we won this election and our mandate should be given back to us. So basically, that's the summary.
Okay. Okay.
Let's not keep on taking more questions. But one thing I want to point out, just like my colleague Barrister Kaya just said, I see a lot of people asking questions about this inauguration, how possible it would be to stop Tinubu from being inaugurated. I think we should stop, we should temper down that focus. The court case is a court case. I don't know how the lawyers intend to address that matter when the court case opens formally, but we should keep our eyes on the ball. In all the other governorship cases in the past, which have been restored, which mandates have been restored through the courts, the governors were sworn in, the court case proceeded, and eventually justice was obtained. So let us continue to push as strongly as we can. Whether it's inaugurated, whether it's not inaugurated, we should, our direction should be attack, attack, attack. Let us keep on pushing for what we believe in, for the facts that are in our favor, and for the votes that we cast on 25th of February. Inauguration should not disturb our motivation, our zeal to see that things are done right. Our aim is our mandate. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Kenneth, for that. Obviously, for that wonderful response. Now, because we know we have a lot of hands raised, and I would like to call on 3 more people to ask their questions, and then we have a conclusion, and then we can go back to the next agenda, which is talking about the other protest that is being planned in America. So I would like to call on Dr. Mrs. Cordelia Udo to ask her question. And after that, it's going to be Azolinga Express, and then finally, Professor Dele Anumba.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all of you. Can we find out how the 5 appeal judges, how were they selected? And do we know their leaning? That's my question. And someone mentioned if they want us to, if they want to have another election. I'm sorry, I'm here sleeping and waking up. How ready are we gonna be? And I think we need to discuss the protection of votes and lives and security. And the third is if Tinubu is there, people will start disappearing. How do we counter that to just make sure that there will not be squads of lawlessness going in people's homes, getting people and start to disappear? So that's those are my 3 issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cordelia, for your question. And I will go to I don't know, is it Azoling?
Yes, Azolinga Express Limited.
Yeah.
My name is Frank. I'm the MD Azolinga Express Limited.
Okay,
I'm from the north. Yes, I'm from the north. I want to assure you that a lot of people from the north are following this movement. They are fully part of this movement. But the only impression I want to correct here is we should not make it a tribal war. And when the Igbo man will say the Hausa man does not want him to rule, and the Hausa man will say the Igbos are fighting Muslims. When the Yoruba man will say our turn has come, and all they want is to treat us like they treated Abiola. This obedient movement is not all about Obi, just like that my father and professor say. It is a pattern that Nigeria needs. And Obi happened to be the most qualified candidate that can lead us where we are going. First of all, we should be aware that even the legislator and the one governor we have gotten should lead and toe the line of obedience movement. That is how to build to last. APC were supported even by me. But along the line, after this one in the Muhammad Buhari, all of us have to run out because we can see corruption, koro. We could not continue. So my advice is this. It is a movement and we have started. Let the few legislators we have rule by example. And also the one governor we have to show example that obedient movements are not here to play. Obedient movement is here to change Nigeria. Second, the court house, or I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, sorry. The judge, how do you put it? Yes, the day Obi matter will be presented to court or the hearing of the petition. You know, if the courthouse is empty or even outside does not signify the pleasure of Nigerians, it will look like a child's play. And
Yeah,
Obi will not.
as a place, are you able to round? Are you able to, because we are running short of time? Are you able to just round off, please? If you round off, so that we can.
Yes, I just want us to see how we can mobilize to gather around the court. Most especially people like us around Abuja here, we should be present. We have to sacrifice to show that the pressure is real and to show that we are behind this man, not only the people in judgment or the people that the both sides that are having issues. Let the court house crowded and let mobilization to the streets begin. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for your contributions. Before we go get the mic back to Tenet, I want to highlight quickly about the effort, because a lot of people have talked about how do we keep the fire going? How do we motivate our base? Because we don't want a situation whereby people relax too much and then the time for action that we are needed to really act and we are found wanting. I know it has been a very depressing time for everybody, but the actual time for the action is actually now. So this is the time we need to mobilize our base. And in those same lines, I know that the UK, some of the UK Obedience have been able to have a successful rally just to bring the attention of the world, to let the world know that what we have right now is a rigged election, is an intimidation. This is subservation of people's mandates, and we shouldn't allow it to happen. And if we don't say it, nobody will know. The narrative that the Western world hear is only when they see them. We have to create our own narratives. And in those lines, America, we're organizing another march, a mega protest, very, very peaceful at the DC, Washington. And we have all the support groups all in unity for this, trying to get our voice heard and make sure that the White House, because I know that the president of the Biden had at one time congratulated Tinubu. So we need to let them understand that you cannot just congratulate a criminal. You cannot just do that. An election that was obviously marred with irregularities, and we have a proof for that. This is not those times that we don't have a proof. These ones are very proven. So for us as Obidient, this is the time. This is the time we need to act. And if we don't, we need to come out en masse. The critical mass is what is important on the May 6th.